My name is Lisa Shutt, and I am the Director of Undergraduate Programs in African American and African Studies here at the Woodson Institute. I conduct research in Gabon, which is in Central Africa, and I look at 3 different populations who live in urban spaces in Gabon. Gabonese nationals, as well as people who migrate there from different places. So one group, people who migrate from other African nations to do work in Gabon. Another is people who migrate there from the West to do work. So I'm looking at the way that people understand their own national identity in Gabon through the processes of work and in opposition to these other groups. So I got into that type of research in a very unusual way. I started doing research. I knew I wanted to be an anthropologist from the time I was probably 15, which is a little bit unusual. People don't usually say, I want to be an anthropologist when I grow up. So I went into college as an undergraduate wanting to major in anthropology and specialize in Africa. And people asked me why. And to be honest, I'm not sure. It was just interesting to me. So I double majored in anthropology and French. And my parents wouldn't let me study in Africa. They wouldn't let me study abroad anywhere on the continent. But I knew I wanted to study Francophone Africa. They did let me study abroad in both England and in France. So 2 different semesters I studied abroad. For one of those semesters, when I went to France, I talked to my anthropology professor. And he suggested I do some research on what's called the appellation d'origine contrôlée concept, which is a series of French food laws. So I did a whole bunch of research, ethnographic research, when I was an undergraduate and used that material to, that was the data for my first master's thesis. So a lot of students will come to me, especially as the person who helps them to declare their majors. They come to me and they'll say, but my parents say, I don't know what you can do with an AAS major. You'll never get a job. In fact, a lot of students, they get jobs largely because of their AAS major, because of the special qualifications that they end up having. And when I say qualifications, one thing that's very important to know is that majors don't align with specific careers. And so a lot of what students get out of the AAS major, excellent writing skills, skills of presentation, being able to see issues and ideas from multiple perspectives, working independently and working in groups, working with diverse populations, being able to conduct research and analyze data. All these things are things that employers are desperately looking for right after, from people who graduate from college and people they want to hire. But AAS does something more. AAS gives you a perspective, whether you want to be someone who goes into business, someone who goes to graduate school and gets your PhD in another field or in African American and African studies, whether you want to be a member of the clergy, whether you want to be a stay-at-home parent, all those things. AAS is a field that orients you in a very critical way, in a very analytical way, in a political way, and one which prepares you to affect change in society. And in that way, it's a very special, somewhat unusual major. And so students are prepared to go into the world and make it better and to affect change. And that to me is what makes AAS stand out in a lot of ways.